welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the SVT podcast. Today it is VNT. Vince, what's going on, brother?
Not much, just as the name says, for both of us, go vote. Vinny, go vote. That normally the G's for my last name, but my last name now is go vote, everybody. That's all I'm gonna say on that. We all know it's important. We know what's at stake, so
Well,
do
two
the
two
thing.
things on that. Obviously, mine says the same thing. If you live in California, you can still do it till tomorrow. So don't waste. And then there is an option in California to be able to track once your said vote goes into the mailbox. So
That's right.
go out there, do your thing, do your
Yeah,
cause. So
yeah, yeah. Google a couple of things, see what the propositions mean,
yeah,
and
that's
just
what
do
that's
it.
what
You know?
YouTube's for, man. That's what I did. A lot of YouTube videos to figure out my props here. So, Tim,
Yeah.
how we doing on the ones and twos, my guy?
Doing great. I consider myself to be Tim the Goat
Ooh,
instead of
Tim the
Go
Goat.
Vote.
Oh, okay. I see. I
Nice.
see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. Well, hey
Okay.
everyone. As always, you are listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell to get alerts when we go live, like right now. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at SVT Sports Pod and slide into our DMs. Without further ado, I think we need to talk about this crazy week in the NFL. What you got, Vince?
Absolutely. Hell yeah, we do. So let's start with the main slate on Sunday. The Ravens all over Denver, 41-10. Wow. That was just Denver didn't even get off the bus, I don't think. The
Yeah,
Commanders beat the Giants 27-22. They had to work for that one a bit. Sam's Raiders fall huge to the Bengals 41-24. It ended up costing somebody his job, three somebody's actually. We'll
quite a
talk
few
about that in a
people. Yeah,
second. The Panthers beat the Saints 23-22, and that cost somebody his job. The Falcons beat the Cowboys. Thank you for handling our light work 27-21. Dak got injured. CeeDee Lamb got injured. This I don't think it's the Cowboys' year, guys.
I think you're
uh
gonna start putting away your cowboy gear and wait till
yeah,
next
that's
season.
that's right. Start punching those TVs early if you're in Dallas. Um the Bills beat the Dolphins 30-27 on a last second field goal. That fourth quarter especially was really wild, back and forth. The Chargers beat the Browns 27-10. The trash goat, Jameis Winston. I said it in the chat. Congratulations on 100 career interceptions. That's my trash goat. Love that. Uh, the Titans beat the Patriots in overtime, 20-17. That was a wild fourth quarter at the end.
Drake May with that
Drake May,
last.
yeah, just the balls on fourth down as he's like falling. He throws a prayer ball up, and Ramondre Stevenson catches it to send the game to overtime. And then Drake May goes full rookie and throws a pick immediately in overtime once he gets his first shot, and that's the game. Let's see. The Cardinals beat the Bears 29-9. The first place Cardinals in the NFC West by half a game over literally the other three teams that are all 4-4. The Lions beat the Packers 24-14. That game wasn't as close as the score might indicate. And the Rams in overtime get the job done against the Seahawks 26-20 in overtime, like I said. So that's fun. Like I said, it basically knotted everybody up at 4-4 in the NFC West with the Niners as well. And on Thursday, the Jets get the job done against the Texans 21-13. Hopefully the Texans can get Nico Collins back this week. Maybe he could come off of IR. We'll see. The
Yeah, I was
Vikings
hearing
beat
the 11th is what I was hearing here. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's possible. Yeah. So the Vikings beat the Colts on Sunday Night Football 21-13. And as we speak right now, it is the Chiefs hosting the Buccaneers. That game is scoreless with about 4 minutes left in the first quarter. So there are your football scores. The Niners did not play. I don't have I only have one piece of breaking news. The news we've all been waiting for. That's right. Offensive lineman John Feliciano is coming back. His practice window has been opened. Oh, and Christian McCaffrey too. So
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey guy. Yes,
Yeah,
I
could
think
be
he's going to be
important.
something in the league. Yeah.
Yeah, he could be all right. Yeah, he might play a small role at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, on Tuesday, Deontay Johnson was traded from Carolina to Baltimore, which makes that win by Carolina a little bit even more impressive to me.
Yeah.
They did it without that top receiver. Let's see. Because of the resulting week, let's say it like that. The Raiders fired offensive coordinator Luke Getsy, quarterback coach Rich Scangarello, and offensive line coach James Craig. So they cleaned out house on the offensive side of the ball. I think Antonio Pierce's seat is feeling pretty warm as well, even though it's his first year. It's just this team does not look ready week in and week out. Honestly, it's
Well, he also announced that he doesn't even know who the starting quarterback's going to be next week, and that's
yeah,
scary.
yeah. Um,
I mean,
oh
AOC is going to
man,
be out for a few more weeks, and
yep.
if you're split, holding two cards up and you're trying to figure out if it's
Desmond
going to be
Ritter.
Ritter or the stash, I'm pretty
Yeah.
question about who's going to start too.
I tell you what, we already know Desmond Ritter's not the answer. We know that
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew's not the answer either. And I think we're pretty sure that Aiden O'Connell's not the answer either. So I think they just have a mess and they're just going to try to lose as many games as possible going forward. Breaking news, the Chiefs just scored a field goal. It's 3-0 with 2:16 left in the first. And I mean, so yeah, this is the first step of danger signs in Las Vegas. And I'm sure if Sam were on right now, he'd be sounding the alarm.
Yeah.
This is not a good thing by any stretch. When you have to fire coaches midseason, that means things have gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Yep. But not going horribly wrong. The Eagles get the win 28-23 against Doug Peterson's homecoming against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That game had some of the craziest. Go ahead.
Just shout out Raiders by OC Nation. Hey, thanks
go.
OC for jumping in. And clearly, I'm not the Raiders guy. I'm the Niners guy, but I'm trying to fake it for a little bit there. And it like I said, it's not good. Back to your Eagles.
That game had so many highlights, from the iconic leap over the defender backwards move from Saquon Barkley to the one-handed grab by Smitty to pretty much seal that game as far as scoring points goes. I mean, the N'Kobe Dean stretched out interception to end the game. It had a lot of things that I honestly can tell you. This offense is rolling. The defense looks connected. They look like they've all bought in finally to Vic Fangio's defense, which you're aware of as a 49ers fan. Navarro Bowman, may his knee always be better in than his retirement here. I'm just thinking that as much as I loved everything that I saw from this game, Nick Sirianni still pisses me off in this Britney Spears phase. I mean, you go for it on fourth down, you miss the first time. That's fine. You're up 10 points. We're rolling. That's fine. You missed the 2-point conversion on a offsides call, so you get to the ball to the 2-yard line. That's fine. But then when you repeatedly beat your head against the wall and do that over and over and over again with zero success, kick the ball. Take the points. All right, we should have been up by 12 points.
That one field goal would have put you up 9, right? Like at the end of the game, kicking a field goal instead of going for it, that would have put you up 9. That's 2 scores. They can't touch you at that point. I don't know what, whatever. Yeah.
Well, at the end there, it's like, oh, we haven't used our kicker since the first quarter. Let's throw him in the fourth quarter to kick a 57-yard field goal. I'm sure he'll make that.
Yeah.
So, some questionable things from the head coach, and that's all I'm saying. I'll take the win.
Right. I mean, it may require a deep playoff run for Sirianni to keep his job. What do you think about that?
I'm with you. I feel like if he had lost this game, that seat would have gotten extremely hot, like really quick. And it's not because the Eagles lost the game. It's the way they would have lost that game. If we would have lost the game because of those play calls that he did on the fourth down and repeatedly going for 2 when he didn't need to, the seat's getting a little warm. It's not boiling hot, but it's getting warm. So I agree. I think a deep playoff run probably going to have to be the only way that he keeps his job going into
Yeah.
next season. So
and deep means NFC title game or further.
yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't mean like winning the wild card game and then bowing out in the divisional. I don't think that's enough.
Yeah.
If these problems persist,
Yeah, we're basically chasing the Lions and the Vikings right now, and then obviously the Commanders, which we'll see them in a couple weeks here. Up next week is Dallas, so it's fuck Dallas week. So
Oh yeah, and you're doing that without Dak and possibly without CeeDee Lamb as well. So if you don't get the job done, that's worse. Then
it's Trey Lance era now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how ahead of the curve Shanahan was on that pick.
Yeah. Well, who do you got? I mean, let's get some previews here. You got the Buccaneers next week. Obviously, they're playing tonight.
Right.
If CMC said he's good to go, I put it in the win column automatically. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, especially even if you get John Feliciano back as well, like he's an important offensive lineman too. Like even if he's like just sprinkled in for like 25%, give some of the other guys a little bit of rest. So that'll be helpful as well, and just make everybody better in the long run. That's what we like. So we'll see. I'm pulling up the Niners schedule right now as we speak. So next week is at Tampa Bay. So that's a 10 a.m. game. That'll be early. And then you got you're hosting the Seahawks, and then you're going to Green Bay in like right before Thanksgiving. So the schedule doesn't get any easier. You got the Bills, and then the Bears don't look bad either. There are no easy outs the rest of the way for the Niners, but also that goes the other way too. The other teams have to play the Niners. It's not the Niners just have to play the Bills. The Bills have to also play the Niners. So it's iron sharpens iron is what we're hoping for. That's what we've seen from the Niners in recent years. Is the second half of the season they really turn it on. They go like 7-1, 8-1, 8-0 down the stretch in the last few years after starting off middling. 3-5, 4-4, whatever. The switch gets flipped, and hopefully that happens again this year. Christian McCaffrey coming back is going to be a huge part of that if it does happen. So
yeah, agreed.
All right. That being said, one more note: the Saints fired head coach Dennis Allen. The special teams coach Darren Rizzi is named the interim head coach. So again, they started off the season 2-0. And then they have not won since.
Yeah,
so,
injury bugs have been just torturing this team, whether it be Carr being out or Olave.
Mm-hmm. Even with Carr being and Carr hasn't played it particularly well either when he has been in. So the writing was kind of on the wall at the start of the season. I'm not even in like they made a little bit of a late push last year to get back into playoff contention, but didn't quite get the job done. Didn't quite make the playoffs. So that's the only reason why he was even brought back, I think, was because they showed a little bit of life at the end there. But there's just no life basically since the 2-0 start. And now they're in prime position for a top pick in next year for the draft. So we'll see who loses worse going forward. Is it the Raiders? Is it the Jaguars? Is it the Saints? We'll find out.
I fully believe it's going to be a 1-2-3 quarterback situation going to next year's draft. I fully believe that. I don't know if that kid out of Michigan, the running back, if he's going out, but if he is, I think he's in his sophomore season, so I don't think he's going out yet. But
so Papa G in the chat asking about special teams coach. I find that they do that a lot. Actually, they find not necessarily the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator. They'll find somebody else. So like Pierce was the linebackers coach last year for the Raiders when they fired what's his bucket douchebag from New England. Anyway, McDaniels. Yeah. So I mean that happens a lot.
Does it count if the Raiders made their special teams coach the head coach and then fired him?
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. So they do that because they want to keep some level of consistency on like the two main pieces of the team where possible. The Raiders fired the offensive coordinator, so they kind of threw that out the window. But Yeah, so that's why you grab like the special teams coordinator or like an offensive line coach or defensive line coach. I remember when the Niners hired Jim Tom Sula for that one game after they fired Harbaugh. The
Uh,
first time they hired Jim Tom Sula, and they ended up winning that one game, and it cost us like four spots in the draft or something like that. Anyway, I think that's that'll do it for football. You think?
yeah, man, I agree.
All right. All right, so let's move on to the Warriors. So they had a pretty good week. They get the win on Tuesday against the Pelicans, 124 to 106.
In the
Then they
baseball
follow it up. Yep. Then they follow it up with the win against the Pelicans on Wednesday, 104 to 89. And then they play on Saturday in Houston. They get the win, 127 to 121 in overtime. They led by 31 in that game, but they had to survive in overtime to get the W. I didn't like that,
yeah,
but help is on the way. Steph Curry, on Friday it came out that there was good progress on his ankle and he was gonna be reevaluated on Sunday. And the reevaluation went good because our boy is playing right now. Yeah, they were up 10 last I checked. They're at a commercial break right now. That's why if you see me looking up on the YouTube video, that's me checking the score or to see if there is a score showing at the moment.
I think they're
Uh,
still up by 10 right now.
yeah, they're still up 10-ish or so was the last I checked. Also on Friday, they said that DeAnthony Melton back injury is also making good progress, but he's not doing any team activities for at least another week. So
Yeah.
he's a little bit further back. He's not playing tonight, but at the end of the week, they'll check in again and go from there.
Yeah, they're gonna take him very slow just because that's what kept him out last season with the Sixers was a back injury. So um, he said he
No
feels
need to
fine,
rush,
but yeah, when you're winning, no
especially
need
when
to
you're
rush.
yeah, especially when you're sitting at 5-1 currently and in line to get your sixth win of the season. Uh, if anybody's hurt, no need to rush them back. The other people have picked up the slack for the most part, and just keep going and keep getting healthy for those of you that are injured. And when you're back, do the thing. Oh, they're up 15. It's 79-64. So,
Gotcha.
all right. Yeah. Anything Warriors wise we need to talk about? I mean, I love the start. They're currently sitting third in the West. Upcoming games, they're at Washington right now. That game's happening as we speak, but we don't have a final yet. They're at Boston on Wednesday, and then they're at Cleveland on Friday, and then at OKC on Sunday. This is a bit of a murderer's row. These next three games they got, not counting tonight's game.
I mean, Boston's a powerhouse. Cleveland
Yeah.
is undefeated. They look like they're gonna win again tonight.
Mm-hmm. And
I mean,
OKC is number one seed in the West. So
yeah,
this is not an easy week coming up for the Warriors. But you take 2 out of 3 of these games on the road, then that kind of sends a message to the rest of the league that, hey, we're fucking back,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think you probably get that. Oh man, that Boston one's gonna be tough because in Boston, I think you probably get the Cleveland game. I think you give them their first L, and I think you take that OKC game. I think Boston's gonna be the one that's gonna really dogfight you to the very end there. Not to say the other teams won't. Just something about losing, the finals on their home court probably still stings with them a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that kind of wraps up. There's not a lot to talk about basketball. It's early in the season, so there's not much to really analyze at this point, especially with Steph injured for the last 3 games or so. You couldn't really, you know, anything that happened, if it was bad, like what can you really gain from that? What information can you really gain from that? I gained that Pajemski's good and can solve a problem, stop the bleeding. There's also I will make mention that there are trade rumors are bubbling a little bit about
yeah,
Jonathan Kuminga being on the block a little bit just because of the contract impasse. It sounded like he was looking for 35 mil a year, and the Warriors were only willing to go up to about 30. So it's a 5 million difference. We'll see what happens there. Just something to keep your eye on. I don't know.
I think that's just Bleacher Report was bored and just want to create some
It just stir the pot.
some clickbaits. Yeah,
their pot stirrers over there at Bleacher Report, man. Stirring the pot.
Yeah,
Big old cauldron on Halloween.
Yeah. All right, I think I'm ready to go to the rink, baby.
All right, let's skip over to the rink. Let's talk about the Sharks. Um, so all three of us were right on our wins of the week. Look at us go. And so on Monday, right before the game started, you guys got in that Utah pick. They end up winning in overtime at Utah 5-4. They were down 4-1 with less than 5 minutes left in that game. And then they score 3 goals in about a $1.50 to force overtime. And then Wenberg got the OT winner that game. Zetterlund also chipped in 2 goals as well. And then they turn around the next day. They come home. They play the Kings and get a 4-2 win. They then host Chicago, which is the game that I picked on Halloween. They get the win there 3-2. And then they host Vancouver, and then they take the L 3-2. So they end up going 3-1 over the week.
That Vancouver game was wild, man.
Yeah.
They pulled the goalie, pulled Blackwood, scored it with like, I want to say there was like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds left or something like that. And then proceed to give up a goal like 7 seconds later. And I was like, you got
it was ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah, you did the job. You got the job done, and then you forgot to finish the job for the last 30 seconds of the Anyway. So the current standings for the Sharks, they're sitting at 3 wins, 8 losses, 2 overtime losses. That 3-1 week was huge. It brought them all the way up to 8th in the Pacific and 16th in the West, but they're only 1 point back of Nashville. So there you go. They're right there. They're almost out of the cellar. There's right there. The door of the cellar is in sight. You know.
Well, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you pick your win of the week. The upcoming schedule. The Sharks are playing the Blue Jackets here on Tuesday. The Minnesota. Why am I drawing a blank? Wild here on the 7th here. We got the New Jersey Devils on Sunday, and then
they're at New Jersey, and then at Philly on Monday,
here.
and that Philly game starts at 4. So that's why we're including it for win of the week for this week, because the game will start before we start recording. So that's why we're going to do that. As far as who I'm actually going to pick, that's, it's kind of interesting. The Columbus game's kind of intriguing to me. The Philly game is intriguing as well, because those are two like not good teams. The Philly especially is really bad. That's really tempting. Just looking at the standings, I don't think it's going to be the Devils. They're currently sitting in a playoff spot right now as it stands. Blue Jackets are a little bit better. You know what? I'm going to take the easy way out and take the Flyers.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Flyers game. What about you?
I'm going to take the Blue Jackets. I'll take the low-hanging fruit there.
Okay. Yeah. So we're adding that in, and then we will get Sam's pick for win of the week later today, and we'll let you all know next week how we did. So just a couple of notes for the Sharks here. On Wednesday, they made a trade. They acquired defenseman Timothy Liljegren for defenseman Matt Benning, 2025 conditional 3rd round pick, and 2026 6th rounder. So Liljegren had been kind of on the outs in Toronto. He was a high draft pick. He wasn't really living up to the hype. So right now what the Sharks basically did was take a lottery ticket on him. Maybe maybe the change of scenery, getting out of Toronto, out of the as bad as like the media is for like, baseball or football in like New England or Philly, really tough media.
Or New York.
It is New York, super crushing hockey media in Toronto as well. Like it's just as bad, if not like harsher. So maybe the change of scenery, you get to a little bit more of a not so adversarial media environment here in the Bay Area. Maybe that, opens it up for him a little bit. Maybe he plays a little bit better, and his ceiling, he was a top, 10 pick, I think, or something like that in 2017. So he has a really high ceiling. He's 25 years old, I think. So if he's going to start hitting his peak, if he's going to start like playing really well and living up to that potential, now's about the time when it's going to start. Like really 27, 28, like through 32. That's typically when defensemen in hockey really hit their peak. But like you start to see the trend going upward right around 25 or so. So
yep.
The Sharks will know pretty quickly. I mean, he's not a terribly huge cap hit, but also the Sharks have plenty of cap room as well to bring him on. And so you flip Matt Benning and a couple of picks for him. Big deal. Matt Benning wasn't going to contribute to a Stanley Cup for us, but who knows? Maybe Toronto can get a.
Yeah.
I couldn't say it. I couldn't get through it
Yeah.
with a straight face. Maybe he can get help Toronto get to the second round of the playoffs. We'll see. I think that feels more. I mean, for those of you who aren't hockey people, that's sort of the running joke. Toronto hasn't won the Stanley Cup since the '60s. Like they're about to take the rings with the Toronto players' names off of that and replace it with a new ring on the bottom, because they can't keep adding rings forever. They just kind of cycle them in and out. So and if that happens, like they have like 2 more years, I think, before they get that their last championship taken off. They'll be the first original 6 team to not be featured on the Stanley Cup since they started using the Stanley Cup, basically. So this is actually high stakes for Toronto. They really want to get a Stanley Cup in the next year or two, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
I don't think
keep,
so.
I mean, they just keep going full Toronto Maple Leafs, and they keep doing. Think of it like the Jets, okay? How the Jets keep getting in their own way in football. It's kind of the same thing here in hockey with the Toronto Maple Leafs. For those of you who are not in the know.
The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins just can't seem to find the way out of a playoff series.
So we got some good news as well. On Thursday, Macklin Celebrini is returning to team activities, the first step towards returning to the lineup. And then earlier today, he told some of the local media that he's going to be ready to go for the Columbus game on Tuesday. So he is going to be in the lineup. So that makes your pick for the Blue Jackets a little bit better as well. You're getting a lot of help coming back. So it's got to feel good. Feels good, baby.
I've only seen him play 1 game. Fortunately, wasn't there for the birthday game, but excited, man. Like I said last time, I feel like he dances on the ice, man. It's a different level when he's out there, and
right.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. So there's your hockey update, and let's switch gears to soccer. Let's talk about the boys across the pond in Wrexham. They end up taking an L, 1-0 versus Harrogate Town in the FA Cup. That was the first round of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And the FA Cup dreams are shattered
Done
for this year.
Before it could even start.
Scored. Yeah, before they could even really start. Tampa Bay scored, by the way. They were up 7-3, 9 minutes left in the second quarter. Anyway.
Gotcha.
Back to other football.
You lost to an EFL2 team that you dominated all last season. So to say Harrogate Town didn't have their number, they remembered last season. So this is just much more
ready to play.
Right. Yeah, this is more than just a get right game. This was vengeance on Harrogate Town's part. So they did what they had to do. Defensively, they shut it down. We had chances, just couldn't make it into the net there. So it is what it is.
Yep. It does open up the schedule a little bit, though. Get a little more rest, though, on the other side.
It does.
So if they're going to make a push to go for the back-to-back promotions, get all the rest you can where you can get it, I guess. So maybe
I'd say the only drawback, though, is that they're running at a negative as a club, right? To go further into the FA Cup would have certainly helped. Soften that
the money wise.
Bit.
Yeah, it would have helped with the money for sure. But losing the first round, you don't want to do at all. But yeah. So, I mean, get rest, get better. I don't know. More time to practice on the training pitch.
Just don't sprint.
They are currently sitting in third though. In EFL 1. So
they're 7-4-2 with 23 points. Third place. We finally get back into a regular scheduled TV show here. On Saturday, they play against Mansfield Town, and we'll be back to normal scheduling here. So I think Saturday, and then I think we got a game on Tuesday as well. So back to the Tuesday-Saturday schedule. So.
Right on. All right, so let's switch gears. Come back home to the U.S. women's national team on Wednesday. They get the 3-0 win versus Argentina in Louisville. Pre-match, Rose Lavelle was honored for being the 43rd player to reach 100 caps for the women's team. Her dog, Wilma Jean Wrinkles, stole the show with her own number 100 personalized jersey. It was really adorable. That dog was the slowest moving pup I've ever seen. Wilma Jean is adorable and a treasure. Truly the Mudang of U.S. women's national soccer. So to the game itself, Naomi Girma in the 37th minute. Off of a failed clearance by Argentina, she slams home the ball that fell to her feet to get the first goal. And then 7 minutes later, Girma again, header, deflects off of the corner from Lavelle, finds the back of the net off an own goal by Argentina. So basically, she gets a not quite assist, but kind of should be an assist if it was a U.S. player that it went off of, it would have been an assist. But since it's an own goal, they don't give any assist there. But then in the right out of halftime, the 49th minute, Naomi Girma one more time off of a header cross was delivered by Bay FC defender Alyssa Melanson in her first cap for the team. Naomi Girma gets another goal. She's player of the match. So they get the win. There's your three goals for the win. Eva Gaetino and Mandy Hott also earned their first caps as well. So really hyped for, every single player that was called up got to play this time around in this 3-game window for the national team, which is not something that always happens. A lot of times some of these players will get their first call into the national camp and they'll just like kind of learn and sit back and just kind of examine and learn from afar and whatever. This time, I love seeing that everybody got a chance to play. Alyssa Mallinson got a lot of run in her game as well. Like she played, I think she played almost the entire game.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken. So it's nice to see. And she got an assist too. So that'll certainly didn't help make Emma Hayes' job any easier for the next time,
Yeah.
Really make her think about it. That's great. Love to see it. So let's circle back to Bay FC now. They get the win 3-2 at Houston on Saturday. That win clinched a playoff spot. Rachel Kundunanji scored twice and also had the play of the year non-scoring category, where she basically stood on top of the ball, gave the come here, the taunt to the defender, and then she broke her fucking ankle right near the end line. It was a thing of beauty. And I swear to Thor, you need to check it out yourself if you haven't seen it yet. It is quite the highlight. So that was great to see. That win secured a playoff spot. Chicago ended up playing on Sunday and they lost. So Bay FC jumped all the way up to 7th spot. Chicago's in 8th. Portland is in 6th. So upcoming match, they get to play one more game. It's the playoff quarterfinals. They are going to play the Washington Spirit on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. So right before NFL starts, we got Bay FC playing as well in a playoff game. So that'll be fun times for me. I guess I'm gonna have quite the sports morning on Sunday. Breakfast, maybe I'll make some bacon and eggs or something. Do it real special. I don't know. So the winner is going to play the winner of Portland Thorns play at Gotham FC, and that game actually happens immediately following Bay FC's game. So if they win, they get to travel either to Portland or to New York. New York actually, those are the two worst losses of the year. Actually, I think is the New York teams,
the Gotham
New
FC
York games, the Gotham FC. Yeah. So. They ended up beating Portland earlier this year, 3-1. So if Portland can get the W, I like Bay FC's chances actually if they win against Washington as well. Washington is down a couple of players. They do still have Trinity Rodman though, so that's going to be kind of tough. But really looking forward to the opportunity to see an expansion team. They actually set the record for wins by an expansion team in the NWSL, those 11 wins.
With 11 wins? Nice.
Yeah, 11 wins. That's the record for expansion teams. They're also the second ever expansion team to make the playoffs in their first year. I believe it was the San Diego Wave that did it 3 years ago or so. So let's see what other notes. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. The Lauren Holiday Impact Player Award did end up going to Jen Beatty. For those of you that are NFL fans, it's basically the equivalent of the Walter Payton Man of the Year. It's the same. It's a similar type of award showing, community work and off the field and stuff like that. So she's splitting her prize between two breast cancer society type organizations. So they're each getting a $5,000 check, and Jen Beatty is a hero, so in their eyes. So that's great. She's well deserving. She did a lot of great work for the community with that. So
Nice.
one last NWSL note. The NWSL as a league cleared 2 million fans in attendance at games for the first time ever. So
Okay.
so that's pretty cool. Um, let's see. So I actually do have the numbers of the last few years. So in 2018, they had just under 650,000, an average of about 6,000 fans per game. 2019, that number jumped to almost 800,000, which was 7,400 fans per game. 2021 dipped back down because you're coming out of the pandemic, so people were a little bit weary, and everybody had like isolated seating, so limited capacity. They were only they cleared 617,000. 2022, they clear a million. That averaged 7,800. Last season, 1.4 million, averaged 10,600 a game. And this year, like I said, 2 million fans in attendance. You did have two expansion teams that helped boost the numbers a little bit, but Bay FC drew a lot better than the other tenant in San Jose did this year. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely contributed to that as well. Kansas City, by the way, the Chiefs just scored a touchdown. They're
Right.
up 10-7. 4 minutes left in the second quarter. Yeah, so things are trending up for the NWSL. You have two more teams coming into the league in 2026. So I fully expect that 3 million fans in attendance is well within reach and within a couple of years. They'll probably get to like 2.3 or 2.4 or something like that next year, and then in 2026 they'll probably go over 3. I think that's
Gotcha.
my that's just my prediction. Just seeing how the trend is going. Like in 2 years, you gained 1 million fans through the gate, and you only added 2 teams. So
Makes
I mean,
sense.
just that's where the numbers are lining up for me. And you're adding markets that are excited as well for women's sports in general. So yeah,
Well,
that is the end of Bay FC time.
you were speaking of the other San Jose tenant. I think I
Yeah.
forgot what time is it. What time
Oh
is it
yeah,
right now?
it's of course it is fuck John Fisher o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. That's right.
I just have one note on this
Mhm.
situation here with the FJF.
Mhm.
The acronym has been announced for the Athletics. I can't call them
Mhm.
Oakland. So they will be just known as the Athletics, and their acronyms will be ATH. So
ATH on the scoreboard of the little box if you watch the games on TV. Um, yeah. So that's kind of locked in or whatever. I don't like we're expecting, like, there's a bunch of news that came out about like the building in Vegas and whatnot. Like there's it sounds like John Fisher still can't get other people to pay for his stadium. So they're gonna present to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority or whatever the fuck they're called. They're gonna present that John Fisher and the family, like Doris and his brothers, are gonna contribute the rest of the $1 billion if they need to, is what they're gonna tell them. I still like that's still I'll believe it when it actually happens. I
yeah,
don't think that's gonna happen.
yep.
So as far as we know, they're still good. They still don't have a bridge. Like the money's not there yet.
I've been saying
I'll
it for the
bel
past 15 years. Until I see a shovel in the ground,
Mhm.
everything's open table.
That's right. I mean, they, they could still fuck this up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing. And I mean, we've said it before. If they end up losing, if they end up not being able to make Vegas happen and they're stuck in Sacramento, I mean, insert the meme of Smart Hulk going, "I see this as an absolute win." You
Yep.
know, like that. If Fisher doesn't get what he wants, that's the win I take at this point. I would love for them to be back in Oakland, and I would love for him to be not part of the team so I could, be a fan again. But
Yep.
I'm not going to count on that, but I'm also not counting on Vegas. So
Me
right now
neither,
they're
man.
kind of a team they're a team without a home as it stands. So, oh, and it was DeAndre Hopkins that got the touchdown apparently. So his first touchdown as a Chief. So you have that to look forward to. media. All right, so let's switch gears over to baseball, to the World Series. Freddie Freeman in Game 3 got a 2-run homer to start the game off. Walker Buehler was dealing for 5 innings, and then the Dodgers win 4-2. The Yankees get a win in Game 4 to prevent the sweep, but then the Dodgers complete the gentleman's sweep and get their 8th World Series title. Freddie Freeman is your World Series MVP. Congratulations to our friend Daniel. His team got the job done. Hope you're happy, bud. Good.
Yeah.
Nice cheering. Good for you. I mean, I am happy for him. I really am. I'm glad that he gets to feel the moment of joy.
Hopefully you
like to
didn't
have
set a
felt
car
that.
on fire or
Yeah.
burn a bus.
Yeah, no. We don't want to see you climbing up any greased poles, or nothing.
Actually, I
Stay
could.
safe.
I've seen me and Daniel have seen each other in person. I would like to see if he could do it.
Could be fun.
Yeah.
I don't think he's willing to do it though. Let's go Dodgers. OC Nation says, yep.
There you go. There you go.
All right, right on. Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah, man. Well, I have nothing else for the show. I want to say thank you, Daniel and OC Nation and Pops for chiming in. Sam obviously is not here with us today. Who will hopefully have him back here next week for us. He is on the day-to-day list here as our injury report goes. But as always, just want to let everyone know that you are listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell to get alerts when we go live. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at SVT Sports Pod and slide into the DMs. We would love to interact with all you beautiful people.
A quick episode, man. We're in and out in, a little over 40 minutes. Wow. This is what happens when one of us has a bye and and another one isn't even on to rant about the loss. So
I know our showrunner, our producer's loving it. He's like, yes, I get to get out of here early.
Yeah, that's right. Dig into the food a little bit earlier. I mean, our body clock it says it's 7:13 right now. So
yeah.
So I'm hungry.
All right, guys.
Let's go eat. Fuck John Fisher and have a good night, everybody.